Imagine a continent forged not by armies or empires, but by a terrifying tale. A story whispered in shadows, painted on cathedral walls, and preached from pulpits. This isn't just history. It's the chilling secret behind Europe's very soul. In the early 14th century, Europe was a land steeped in dread. Cities teemed with squalor, and the Black Death swept through populations faster than any army. Death was not a distant concept. It was a constant, unwelcome neighbor. Most people lived and died within a few miles of their birth. They couldn't read, and science as we know it was centuries away. Yet, they understood two things profoundly: fear and God. Heaven and hell were not abstract ideas. They were tangible, ultimate destinations. Then came Dante Alighieri, an ordinary man, exiled and embittered. He wasn't a prophet, a priest, or a king. He was simply a poet, consumed by a burning desire for justice in a world that seemed to offer none. His weapon was a poem, a journey from darkness to light, which he called the Divine Comedy. Most remember only one part: hell. Dante didn't just describe hell, he organized it. He gave chaos structure, layers, and a chilling logic. Punishment perfectly matched the crime, making fear, for the first time, profoundly sensible. This is where the ghost story truly begins. Dante didn't merely suggest hell existed. He declared, "I have been there." He walked among the damned, conversing with souls, naming real people, corrupt politicians, greedy popes, personal rivals. Hell was no longer a distant theological concept. It became intensely personal, immediate, and terrifyingly real. Europe listened, captivated and horrified. The question on everyone's lips was the same one Dante wrestled with. Why do the wicked prosper while the righteous suffer? Where is true justice? Dante offered a powerful, if grim, answer. Justice is coming. It is eternal. It never forgets. This wasn't just a comforting thought for the oppressed. It was a profound disciplinary force. Before Dante, hell was a vague threat. After Dante, it had an architecture: 9 circles, rivers of torment, formidable gates, and stern judges. Sin acquired a geography, a precise location within this infernal landscape. This structured fear became an incredibly potent tool, shaping minds and societies. Europe didn't just read Dante. It absorbed him into its very being. Artists painted his vivid scenes of damnation. Priests wove his punishments into their sermons. Teachers used his imagery to instruct. Parents warned their children with his terrifying visions. Dante's hell became Europe's collective subconscious, a shared nightmare. Yet, it wasn't truly about demons. It was about Europe judging itself, holding a mirror to its own moral failures. Every soul in hell represented a recognizable flaw: corrupt leaders, avaricious bankers, hypocritical clergy. But this ghost story did more than just scare people. It provided a framework for organizing society itself. If hell was real, then earthly authority held immense weight. If judgment was eternal, then obedience became a path to safety. Kings ruled by divine right, their power reinforced by eternal consequence. Laws transformed from mere human agreements into moral imperatives. To disobey wasn't just illegal, it was a perilous gamble with one's immortal soul. Fear, refined and moralized, became the very infrastructure of European society. It was the fear of being remembered wrongly, the dread of eternal consequence. Europe learned to police itself, driven by an internal moral compass forged in the fires of Dante's imagination. This is why Dante's story outlived empires. Rome fell because it relied on brute power. Dante endured because he shaped belief, and belief, unlike stone, lasts forever. There's a deeper truth here. Dante didn't just describe hell. He mapped human psychology before the field even existed. Each punishment in his inferno reflects an inner guilt. Each torment mirrors a desire turned against itself. Europe learned to see the human mind as a battleground, reason versus temptation, duty versus desire, sin versus redemption. This internal conflict became a defining characteristic of European identity. The Gothic world embraced this vision completely. Cathedrals soared skyward, their spires like warnings carved in stone. Look up, they commanded, and remember heaven. Look down and remember hell. Even architecture became a form of moral education. Over time, Europe stopped debating whether Dante's hell was literal. That wasn't the point. The point was that his story worked. It explained suffering, justified hierarchy, and gave profound meaning to pain. A civilization in crisis needs meaning more than comfort, and Dante provided it in abundance. This foundational understanding of moral accountability allowed later Europe to produce revolutions, reformations, and philosophies. It was a continent trained to examine itself morally, to meticulously record its sins. That habit never truly left. Even as religious faith waned, the underlying structure of judgment remained. Modern Europe still grapples with guilt, accountability, and historical judgment. Nations apologize for past wrongs. Leaders are condemned by history. This instinct, this profound sense of consequence, stems from the same cultural wellspring, a society taught that nothing, absolutely nothing, escapes judgment. So, when we say, one man's ghost story built Europe, we don't mean it literally. We mean this: Dante gave Europe a language for conscience. He provided a way to imagine consequences far beyond the immediate moment. He crafted a story that taught a civilization how to fear itself, and in doing so, how to control itself. Europe didn't become powerful because it believed in hell. It became disciplined because it believed actions mattered eternally. That belief, surprisingly, outlived religion itself. And this is the final, profound truth. When Europe read Dante's Hell, it wasn't merely reading about the afterlife. It was writing its own autobiography, a record of its deepest fears, its most profound sins, and its enduring hopes for redemption. The ghosts Dante spoke to were not the dead. They were Europe's own thoughts, finally given a voice. That is how a ghost story became a civilization. The echoes of Dante's terrifying vision still resonate today. Look around, listen closely, and you'll find them. What hidden stories do you think still shape our world? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe for more deep dives into history, and join us next time as we unravel another forgotten truth.